Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're here to record about episode 5 of Jujutsu Kaisen and Bleach Thousand Year Blood War. Hate 'em or love 'em, as always, I have here with me Ramon
Hey guys.
and Ro.
Howdy, howdy.
I cannot be more excited about to talk about these two episodes, man, just because they're on totally different sides of the spectrum. When you're watching one of them made me laugh, one of them made me feel like a child, one had me laughing, just clapping out of my seat, and the other one just made me feel like I need to really look at my life and think about the mistakes I made. Uh, but very depressing stuff. But I hope you guys can guess which one I'm talking about. But what did you? Let's start as always. Let's start with Jujutsu Kaisen. Ramon, what did you think of the episode?
Well, let's see. Can you guys guess which one was my favorite? Jujutsu Kaisen. I like Jujutsu Kaisen. You guys know, like I wasn't able to be part of the episode last week with you guys, but I know initially in our talks beforehand, I was telling you guys that I really wanted to see the moment where Geto finally makes this like mind switch about the way he feels about the stupid monkeys. But no, yeah, like the way that he kind of like his like new life philosophy. Like I was waiting for that moment, and it just made sense that they were gonna throw it in this arc because it was the flashback, and the only other thing that we get after this is like the movie later on, which is currently Geto being bad. So I really liked it. It was very depressing. It was definitely very like trying to reconstruct the pieces. You have Gojo over here trying to really improve his freaking badass Superman skills. And then at the same time, you have Geto in the background kind of just really going through this internal struggle that clearly is tearing him apart. And then clearly by the end of the show, you get, or the end of the episode, you clearly get his decision. So I loved it. Is what I needed. So it's depressing, but I needed it.
which one of the two episodes did you like, Ro? Before you give us the little bit of how much you enjoyed this one.
I don't know. I liked both for different reasons, and I guess overall because I'm kind of liking this season of Jujutsu Kaisen a little bit more. I'll go Jujutsu Kaisen.
Nice, nice.
Yes.
But yeah, like there's so many like subtle small things with Jujutsu Kaisen that I like with Geto. Like I hate this, but like I empathize with him, and like
Mhm.
I hate it. Uh, and it was interesting to see how he was like before the massacre, and then post the massacre, like his expression, like post the massacre, like he was a happy dude again, like the guy that we saw in the beginning when him and Gojo were like when we first saw them in the flashback in the first episode, like that's the Gojo that we got back after the massacre. He was all happy. He was like making jokes, and before that, he was miserable. He was so miserable, and I don't know. I felt happy that he felt better, but still fucked
Yeah.
up what he did.
I mean, for me, man, like, I don't want you to think because I say that this episode was depressing. Don't take that as an indication that I didn't love this episode because I actually thought it was really greatly done. I think it was one of the best episodes out of the five. The only problem that I have with it is like I said, it just makes you feel so depressed after you watch it. Like, I can tell you that I normally watch this stuff like 2 p.m. or noon whenever it airs in the US. This time I waited till like 9 p.m. And after I watched them, man, I just got in this like really sour, bad mood. I don't know, something about just you meet this Ghetto character and he's almost like you're almost wishing for him not to turn or go to the dark side, but you know he's gonna go to the dark side because clearly we've seen it in the news in the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, and we saw it in the movie. But you still have some hope. You still have some hope that maybe there's some way that this guy's going to be able to turn good, or maybe there's a reason that he turned evil that you can kind of maybe have him switch sides like you normally do with Obito. But other than that, man, I just like I really did enjoy it. It was just so dark and depressing, and you know we get a little bit of Ghetto explaining again. Hey, every time I eat one of these curses, you know, I feel like I'm eating a towel full of vomit and poop. And that's kind of how I felt watching this episode. I felt after I was done with it, I felt like I also had eaten a towel full of, you know, poop and and puke. So it was just that's how it made me feel, man. Emotionally, that's how it made me feel.
Yeah, and like I love the way that they did it because you in the beginning of the episode you kind of saw that he was miserable, and then they did some foreshadowing, and they make you feel attached to another stupid character. Uh, and then you kind of see him interact with a few different people, and he just looks so miserable. And then when he's in that train, going to like on some mission or whatever, you hear him again like repeat the same thing that he said right in the beginning of the season when before he exercised those couple curses. He what he said about that nobody knows what they taste like. It tastes like a dirty towel used to clean up poop
Don't.
and
Yeah.
vomit. And then he just repeating it, and it just helps the whole feeling, kind of like what he's feeling. Like it all, I guess, gets internalized with you, and it kind of shows because like his power, it seems like it's a very miserable power. And then he always had this positive attitude, and he was always cheery because he had the mission. He had a sense of justice, and what he was doing was the right thing. And he had like his friends, with Gojo and everything. And then, but then when everything happened with the girl, then that started questioning and shaking kind of the foundation that was bringing like all the light that he had. And then that's why from there he just kind of started escalating and becoming so much darker, so much more miserable because he wasn't around Gojo much anymore because Gojo was going on solo missions. And then their other teammate, the girl, she didn't go on many missions at all, so he was kind of off on missions on his own as well. So I don't know, like all the things that were bringing positivity and giving him purpose were kind of slipping away, and then it was just making him so much more miserable. So that when he got to the point where he kind of, I guess he blew up, or everything kind of just escalated to the point where he just couldn't take people being people, and he just got tired of them, and he's like, all right, we're gonna kill them all.
Yeah, and you have
Yeah.
like a good point on mentioning the whole thing about him being apart from his team because like they start the episode by saying it's been a whole year since like the Rico incident, right? And then again, like I was telling you guys about how like there was that juxtaposition of you have Gojo on one hand, like well you said it too, like super happy, he's developing his power, she's getting more badass, and you have that moment where Geto's kind of like admiring him. And then you kind of see throughout the episode, they throw you a couple instances where Geto still really admires Gojo and he still really likes Gojo, because even later when he's talking to that other sorcerer that really messed with his head, or no, beforehand, the one kid who dies
The
like
kid.
premature, yeah, like he does like think of Gojo. He's like, oh, Gojo's gonna have these souvenir snacks, so make it something sweet. So my whole thought behind that and why that was so significant is because, yeah, I think you're right. If they would have spent that year together, like working together in team missions or Gojo and Geto, it might have been a completely different Geto by the end of this episode. I think it is
Yeah.
his solitude, his like burden, his like constant taste of, I'm not going to repeat it because you started said it twice, but his constant
Trauma. His
yeah,
trauma.
his trauma, but is that taste that he gets from all that, like a whole year just that solitude and really being in his mind, like you saw it in his bags, man. And the animation did a really beautiful job of showing like the bags under his eyes, like no matter what scene you could see his bags. And I'm like, dude, that's just, if I felt like him, or I guess like I saw myself in him, because I feel like when I'm at work, when I'm in certain places, like people who think too much, sometimes you just like you see it more in their eyes because they're just so exhausted from like thoughts. But I don't know, I love the episode for that reason. I think I also do empathize with him, and I don't mean in a I'm gonna go do some crazy stuff, but I think in the idea of like sometimes you just kind of look at the world around you and it's just not the perfect world you want it to be. And then sometimes you get to the point where you're like, man, I just can't make that world change in that way. And that's where he was at, man. It was crazy.
So somebody posted a thing on Reddit about pretty much what we're talking about, like the whole situation with Ghetto, like what could have happened, what could someone have done to change it. And I posted this comment, just kind of putting my 2 cents in. And to my surprise, like I guess, like I'm looking at it right now, it has like 240 like likes, which is normally like a lot just for me putting a random comment. But one of the things that I said is just that, like, for right now, as much as I want to be mad at Ghetto for choosing, to go in this direction, I do feel that a lot of the fault has to be with Jujutsu Kaisen, man. Like this school that's taking in this people to like teach them how to like defend themselves against curses or how to like protect people. But it's like we're constantly being told that they don't have enough people, that the resources are being spread, and it's kind of one of their weaknesses as we're kind of finding out. And it just kind of sucks, man, because you would have thought that after Geto and and even Gojo went through the situation, that they would have been like, hey, we're going to make it a requirement to have you talk to somebody on a weekly basis, monthly basis. And they just don't. They don't have any kind of support like that. And it's insane, man. Like, think about it. Like, I think to my knowledge, when a cop shoots their gun by either by accident or purposely, they always have to like meet with somebody and talk about that. And, somebody has to evaluate them to make sure that they're okay with the decision that they made. In this case, nobody's doing that for them, man. And it's just like, for me, it makes me feel like maybe this is a reason why Gojo sort of, because you see him in the first season, he kind of has no respect for the school. He doesn't have any respect for some of the decisions they're making. They're constantly trying to kill Itadori, which also is putting other students in danger. So it's like, I'm starting to feel like I'm against Jujutsu Kaisen, and I don't know if that's something that the show is purposely making me feel, because at the end of the day, maybe we're going to find out that Tengen-sama, maybe it's not the holy guy that we should be protecting. Maybe there is something a little bit deeper to this whole organization. Because again, we're dealing with curses, so I don't know, man. I'm very intrigued by this whole show in general.
But you got a crazy, like, I mean, you're good with that comment. Like, I feel like it's pointing in the right direction, because even the special grade, or not a special grade, but that one sorcerer that came to talk to Geto, like the blonde girl, that was her whole thing, right? The thing is that she's kind of made herself an outcast because she doesn't believe in the philosophies of the Jujutsu Kaisen school. And so ultimately, like, he's not the only one. He's just like the newest one going into that train of thought. She was already there. You had people like Toji, who kind of knew that was an option for him, right? Because even someone like Maki was like, who doesn't have cursed energy, can end up at Jujutsu Kaisen if they want to. Then, basically, yes, I feel like you're right. Like, they're not doing anything to attract new potential like students. They're not doing anything to take care of their own currently. And I think they just have a very bad system. And that's where the whole idea of like Geto's new ideology is kind of justified, because it seems at this point it's almost easier to go ahead and go after all the non-sorcerers than just trying to like see all these sorcerers who are so valuable, who are so limited, kind of continue to lose their lives. And that the name of the episode was Premature Death, and it was because of that young sorcerer that was working with Namani, or
Nanami,
with Nanami. And then he went and he had that beautiful interaction with Getsu. Yeah, and so it's just, I don't know. I think it just points to that. It's like he's going to keep losing people, and clearly that's not his new ideology. So,
do you guys blame at all Yuki? It's the person you're referring to, the blonde girl that kind of came in, and it's like, what kind of woman do you like? Which I still kind of want to kind of know the connection between her and then the guy in the first season. But do you blame her for Geto, sort of? Because she sort of put those ideas in her head. And also she mentions like there's two options. We have option 1 or option 2. And Geto kind of comes up with his option 3, which obviously is to get rid of all non-sorcerers. So that's kind of like, that's kind of, to me, he wouldn't have had that idea had this lady not come in and talk to him. But I don't know. I just feel like, I don't like how she just came in and left. And it's like she totally kind of screwed up Geto, because she knew what he was going through. So it's just, it bothers me a little.
Yeah. Who do you blame, Raul?
Yeah. Like I wouldn't say necessarily that she knew what he was going through. It's kind of, it's one of those things where like she's gone through the same thing too, probably. Like as a sorcerer, she's probably lost people. She's been in weird situations where she's kind of had to deal with all these things, and it for her it's probably just a part of the job. So she knows kind of what he's going through, what he went through. He knows, or she knows, like what happened. But it's one of those things that like everyone. So as a veteran, like that went to war, so I always know, like I know what I went through. I know what everybody around me went through, but you don't always know how people are reacting to what they went through, because that's very, very different between everybody. So honestly, for her, like I don't think that she had any idea, or it's very possible that she had no idea that he was taking it badly, and it was her first time meeting him too. So she didn't know how he normally was, or or if there was any change in his personality.
Yeah,
If it
but
was up to her, he could have just been like that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just kind of felt like she came in and she already is like, I understand what you're feeling and what your thought process is, and you're in the edge of either going in this direction or the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
And if she knows this, because again, you're like saying, how does she know this? Like, tell somebody, lady. Like, tell somebody that actually worked for the school. Like, it was almost kind of weird the fact that she just kind of comes in and next thing you know, she's leaving in her motorcycle.
Well, no,
One of the yeah, no, go ahead.
what I was gonna
Because I
say,
was
it seems like she was sent there, and I don't know if you guys had the same thing because
mm,
again, she doesn't know him like that, right? And she
Mm-hmm.
just comes out of nowhere, and her
yeah.
only mission was to go there and visit him and technically Gojo a little bit, or she says that she was also there for Gojo, but but it just seemed like her only point was to go there and kind of mess with his mind,
Yeah. I
and
felt like
so I'm like, who did it? Yeah,
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like this lady did this purposely because obviously she's trying to experiment or trying to like again either do one, which she can no longer do because Toji's kind of like she made it seem like I can't experiment with Toji, so I've kind of like dropped that. So she's going after two, but I feel like there was an option three, and she kind of set Geto up for that third option. And
yeah,
something that I just really wanted to point out really quick about that conversation. I don't know if you caught it, but I kind of feel like I have an understanding of how Geto is still alive in the in season one, even though after we saw in the movie that Gojo kind of like managed to like kill him off. But she makes us there's a sentence in there in which she says that jujutsu sorcerers can turn themselves into curses after death. So I'm like, ooh, there we go. Like that's something new that I haven't heard before. I'm a little bit curious about that.
Um,
And I'm kind of curious if Geto is one of the first people that, well, maybe not the first, but somebody that turned himself into a curse when he died. And I'm like, that to me tells me why he could still be alive. Just the fact that now he himself is a curse.
yeah. I like that
that
bit.
makes sense.
I like that bit of detail. I don't know. Like I'm just curious also like who she's working with or for because I think like even just the idea of putting him into that mental state because I don't think it's her fault. I think she was just at breaking point because you saw
Yes.
him like again throughout the episode he was just kind of gradually building and building
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like I don't know if you guys caught this moment during that conversation where she says, or there is the third way. And it sounds like it's starting to be like applause, but it ends up being like the rain that's like kind of like pouring
It's
down
they play with the applauses, like not only when he's taking a
twice.
shower, when he's
Yeah.
talking to her, and it's just this whole again, he can't forget this moment, and that's the
Yeah.
moment that
And
I love
and so what I was gonna
that.
say, so that's the exact moment where like he kind of like mentally snapped because she did push him to the edge. She did kind of get him to that final mental state of deciding what he wanted to do or which way he wanted to go. But again, still curious to see who kind of instigated that whole like meetup. And then even I even like the idea that she says like, oh no, well tell Gojo I said hi. Maybe one day we can be like special grades together or like work along together. And that idea of like maybe she is someone formidable that we haven't seen right now, or maybe we didn't even realize that we already seen her. But I mean, either way, she just sounds like a cool person. I don't think it's her
Wha-
fault, but yeah.
what's her connection to Toto? Obviously, they both
Oh
like to
yeah.
drop the
Oh,
same
total. Yeah.
Toto. Like, what is her connection to
Yeah,
him?
the
Like,
question. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe for her, she's just
It'd be interesting if they were from the same clan or something, or their
yeah.
siblings, or who knows.
siblings. So that's his teacher. That's kind of like
Yeah.
where my mindset is a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like with Jujutsu Kaisen so far, I feel like everything they give you for the most part has like some kind of like, point to it. With this one, I didn't want to dig into it too deep. I feel like sometimes like there's still that whole like comedic relief of like romantic interest, just like when they had the Rico's teacher when she was giving the phone number to freaking Gojo.
Yeah.
I'm like, it might have been something as simple like that. Maybe she already kind of had like a crush from just knowing who Geto was and just wanted to kind of find out what his like type
No,
was. It was really funny. Yeah.
no, I'm kind of laughing because I'm starting to remember back when like Toto had that whole moment of Itadori, them being in each other's lives, even though they had just met. Like that whole scene still
He
kind
made
of
everything
Being best friends. Yeah.
being imaginary
yeah,
best friends. I miss
yeah.
that character.
But no, and you know what? Like, I still didn't answer who I think I blame Gato for this. I don't know because I think I want to say it's not even the Star Religious group. I think it was just the mission. I think you're right. Jujutsu Kaisen is what did it more. I think because Jujutsu Kaisen is the one that really put him in the position of like, here, defend Riko. She's like, this is your mission. And then through kind of what is it called, escorting her, is when he was realizing more and more like those big conflicts between like him and these groups that wanted to exploit her, these groups that had different ideologies. And I think that's when he was getting his like, wait, what is this world that I'm in? Because no one really agrees. Like some people want to stay humans, like non-sorcerers, but then they want to exploit Tengen-sama. And then other people want to be sorcerers, but then they want to like kill all the non-sorcerers. And I think it was just the whole mission was probably like the biggest thing. And again, that's what we just saw in the last 6 episodes was literally his progression of like doing this mission. And by the end of the mission, he decided who he wants, like his new ideology. So
something I wanted to ask you guys about Geto's power is, do you think he has to swallow these curses? Because if you think about it, like he's capturing them, and I feel like he's swallowing them, not because like he has to. I feel like maybe because it does give him the potential of him able to be able to use them in the future. Maybe he's able to combine them sort of like in the Jujutsu Kaisen movie. So I feel like he's doing them because he's like, oh my God, like I caught you. I got to swallow it because I want to own you as part of my collection. But do you feel like if he wanted to, he could say like, I don't have to swallow this. I've captured you and I can destroy you, or somebody can destroy you. I do feel like this is something that he's purposely doing to himself. And I get it. If you want to be powerful, you got to do this. But it's like, again, it's like, dude, maybe choose when you don't feel like swallowing because you don't want to have that taste in your mouth.
You just made it sound like he has the option of being a Quincy or a Soul Reaper, because it's like just what it sounded like. Like I don't know though. I don't know if he. I think even if he had the power to just actually exercise them and make them like Vantage, I don't think he believes in that anyways. Like I think he's more for saving that soul. Of course, he's saving that soul to use it again. And ultimately that's what makes him so powerful or so formidable against like these other bigger dudes. But yeah, I don't know if it's that he can't exercise them to their complete like obliteration. It just seems like he doesn't want to. So it's a very Quincy Soul Reaper type of dilemma.
Well, I mean, it's kind of funny because the whole thing with Itadori is that they don't want him to turn into the most powerful, whatever curse or whatever. Yeah, Sukuno. But yet with this guy, Geto, they're letting him accumulate all these curses when nobody really knows what would happen if he dies. I mean, we're led to believe that Gojo killed them in the movie, but we never really did see, like, did all his curses come out? Like, what happened to those curses? Then again, I think he did sort of combine them into one ball in the movie to try to make one being. So maybe that's the reason why they didn't all just come out of him. But I'm a little bit curious, man. Geto is like a really cool person you just want to analyze because of all this drama, all his powers. You want to fix them. You want to be able, almost like Batman catches the Joker and then Harley Quinn goes in there to like, ooh, let me talk to you. And the next you end up falling for the Joker. In this case, it's like, I got Geto here and I'm almost falling in love with him because I want to analyze him and be able to talk to him. And the next thing like I'm doing shit for him.
So I'm guessing we're kind of Harley Quinn in this situation where we're kind of falling for Geto, and then I get and Geto is the Joker, and then I don't know who Batman is, but
I mean he has those two little girls with him, which I'm assuming they're the little girls from
the movie
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
Did at any point did we see their abilities or what they can do? I remember something with maybe like a cassette player. I don't know. I could be wrong, but is there any like to their power?
Oh, I don't remember.
Dude, I just rewatched that last month, and then I can't remember. I just remember like finding out that they were like 15 years old in the movie, and you're just like, dang, or 14 or 15, so they were still really young. And then I thought it was like, man, he had like these young trainees already. And see, that's another thing with, because we were just mentioning Harley Quinn, right? He does have like followers, and even in the movie, right? So like, it's not necessarily like he's like over here going to commit crazy. I mean, sort of, he is going to commit some crazy act of killing everybody, but at the same time, it's like he has like, I think he even said it towards the end when he finally meets Choco and Gojo again, like in that city. It's not justified. There is like a grander good or a grander like reason why he's doing all this. And I think part of the reason, like you said, we kind of believe in him in a sense. Not saying that we would do that, but in an idea, it is a believable cause. It is a cause that if I lived in that world, depending on my powers, like who knows, like maybe I would be for that idea too, because his point is he doesn't want people to continue to have to like, or he doesn't want to have to coexist with curses in that way. He doesn't want curses to hurt people. He doesn't want to consume shit rags, shit and vomit rags over and over and over again. So I think that's the overall grander like idea. And again, that's very much of like, does that make a good leader? He does have a really good philosophy, and then it seems like he's a good teacher. And now that he's taking over the different star religious group, I'm really excited to see just kind of, well, ultimately you see it later. But
did you see that he got his revenge? That he managed to get the guy from the last episode, the president, the guy that paid Toji off. That's the guy that went up to the stage, and then that's the guy that he splat.
Yeah, and the other thing too is so obviously like cults exist. So the reason why they do exist is because they believe whatever whatever the cause is, whatever somebody is saying is going to happen.
Is this you finally going against Scientology? is this it?
No, of course not. I would never do such a thing. No. So like that's something that happens. So it's very believable that he would find people to do this. And then also, I don't know if you remember. I think it was in the movie. That he was kind of going around and taking curses from people that were like.
Yeah, he was helping people
by them or whatever. Yeah, and he was also kind of getting donations that way from like rich people by like taking the curses, but then he put another one on there so they'd come back, give him more money, and he would get rid of that curse again or whatever. So it's something that he's helping people. So some people think that he's helping society, whereas he just wants to kill people so that everyone becomes a sorcerer and no more curses.
I mean, he's on the wanted list at this point. Like, I'm thinking that if Toji was alive, this would have been something he would have gone against because there's probably like a good amount of money to get him. I'm surprised that they haven't been able to capture him. I mean, that's one of the funny things with this episode when like he does meet up with Choco and they have like I'm a little bit confused with Choco because it feels like she's only maybe used as a healer because they say they don't take her. She doesn't go on any missions. And then the fact that, you know, when she does talk to Geto and she calls Gojo, so cool about it. And then Gojo, I guess, is like, are you probably fighting him? Or are you doing something to stop him? She's like, what, are you crazy? Like, I don't want to die. So it was just like, I thought that was kind of funny, but I kind of want to see more of her, man, because it's just a little bit like, I don't feel like in these 5 episodes we got anything. I still feel like I don't know who she is. Even in the present time, like, I know she works for like, or she works as part of the school, or she's part of a morgue. I still don't get her character whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, dude, if you think about it, so there's 3 special grade sorcerers, and we now know who the 3 were. It's Gojo, it was Geto, and then it's that one girl that showed up that talked to Geto about they gave him the idea of killing everybody. So if you think about it, there's only 3 special grades. Then and you saw how powerful Gojo and Geto were. So it's very imaginable that no one would want to take him down because no one's gonna be strong enough, except for the girl and Gojo probably.
Yeah. Another nice part about the episode too, because we are just talking about this like flipping to that last scene, is when someone's looking at that report with that cigarette. And you know, you're seeing the story of Geto like with the 2 little girls, and you know the village is trying to like basically kill them because they're like, oh, they're evil and all this stuff.
They have bad juju.
They have bad
juju.
and then like ultimately you see that he does kind of snap, and at that point he's already made his decision, and he basically burns 112 people of that village, and boom, gone. And then you find out that it's freaking Gojo looking at that report, and it's just that disbelief, man. But it's like, again, it's kind of like having your best friend and you know, not seeing him for like a year, and then a year later all of a sudden dude's like into some crazy stuff, and you're like, what? How did I miss this? I'm like, well, Gojo, if you would have been there, my friend, for the past year,
Ramon
like,
is doing a podcast.
So evil. We're talking about cults. Let's go. But no. Yeah, like it's just like even the surprise of Gojo in Gojo's face is very much like that, because like, you know, he spent like the whole year somewhat apart from Geto in that way, where he probably is so shocked by this. He probably is like, when did this happen? Like, when did he lose it? Even though he was the one who made that comment a year ago when Rico was, when they basically rescued Rico's body, and he was the one that's saying like, why can't we just kill all these people? So it's weird, right? How a year has really made a difference for both of them, and a year later, he's like, Gojo's kind of still surprised by all this. And then even more so, once he has the option of basically going and he wants to confront them, just like Shoko did, more from friends first, and then there's the obligation, because obviously after Choco asked them if that was true, then she's like, okay, let me call Gojo. Then Gojo shows up, and it's like basically the same thing too. Like, how could you, even your parents, is this really what you want? And once it's put that way, then it's like, okay, but he doesn't have the heart to kill him because they're still like best friends, man. And it's just like, but that's a tougher one. That's a harder one,
Yeah, and I also think just the fact that there was so many like people around in that area, I think Geto purposely chose that location, because if they were to battle, I think people would have gotten hurt. But dude, I thought it was kind of like not cool, because obviously I do not admire anything that Geto did, but the idea that, hey, I don't want people to be like, oh, well, if you're so against people that don't have curses, what about your parents? He's like, no, he purposely got rid of his parents so that nobody could say that against him, because I'm probably thinking like maybe they weren't such bad people, but it sucks, man. It sucks. And then Geto just scares me because he always has to smile, even now in this stage that he's just like totally against like normal people, monkeys.
He just seems crazy now.
Yeah, he's just like smiling and happy, and he has like this energy, and I do believe why you would want to follow him, but then at any moment he can just kind of like turn against you. And I think that is the kind of people that you do fear, the people that you don't know what they're going to do the following second after they're like maybe telling you like, oh, you did a great job, and then bam, pencil right through your neck or something.
Damn.
Again, I'm quoting the Joker now.
No, I do like when you said the whole fact that Geto obviously chose the city for that reason, so that Gojo wouldn't do anything crazy. But you saw when he was ready to freaking do his little purple little ball, like he was like, and then he just decided not to. So yeah, it's gonna flick up, like forehead flick. Yeah. But no, man, it's just that whole ending just really got to me too. It was just really sad. Yeah.
Maybe the funniest part of the whole episode was finally when Gojo goes to like meet up with Megumi, and then he has that face reaction because he looks just like Toji. Freaking cracked me up, and like it was so almost disgusted at the idea that this kid is like almost a reincarnation of Toji.
I thought it was funny that he was trying to tell him right away, like, "Hey, I killed your dad," and he didn't want to hear. He's like, yeah. I mean, he doesn't know what happened, but still, he's still just like, I don't care about that dude. Yeah, but then we found out. Yeah, before I forget, sorry, because that was another thing too. We found out his sister's not really his sister. Then it was just like a girl that he grew up with.
Is that a girl he grew up with, or his like half sister? Maybe. No,
that also sounded kind of like it too, but it sounds like he thinks her mom and his dad ran off together, sort of, or that someone stopped caring about him like at the same time. But the point is, like, whatever the thought doesn't even matter anymore. But it's just the fact that we found out that it wasn't really his sister. So to me now in the present, kind of makes it a little bit more interesting too. Like what else we get to see between Megumi and her, like once they save her.
Dumb it down for me. What makes it not be able to? That's his sister. Like, what specifically tells you that's not his sister?
Because he didn't. Because I think at one point when Gojo said something, he said she was left behind too, or her mom left her. Okay. She didn't say our mom left her, or anyone. She didn't use the term "our." He said her mom. Yeah, and so it made it really obvious that she was just kind of like a friend. And, like in these animes that we watch, I feel like they do such a good job most of the time when it's a brother and a sister. They say that. They're like brother, sister. And they say that. And she didn't say that. She's like, oh, is that Megumi? And like, that's about it.
That makes sense. Because I remember me and Ro were kind of talking which one's older. So maybe they're around the same age. They just kind of like, again, they have this brotherly sister bond because they grew up together. So that's cool. And then I think
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Well, that doesn't make sense too, because then Toji didn't have that like flashback attachment to anyone else but Megumi. So he wasn't like, oh, and my daughter too. He wasn't like there was never a thought of
my children.
My children. It was always like my son. Yeah.
No, because in the last episode, me and Ro were also kind of talking about like Megumi, and if like he's gonna get mad at the fact that Gojo did eliminate Toji, but it sounds like he doesn't even care, or maybe he even knows at this point, and it's just like, I don't care. My dad was just like a bigger loser. I think the whole thing is like they're making the Senate clan be the one clan that nobody respects, and you really need to watch out for. So I like that they're kind of laying those
seem
grounds.
Like scumbags. Yeah, they seem like scumbags, man. They're like, wait, you don't have a special.
Yeah, well, it kind of seems like it's those type of like stuck up clans that they're rich, they're very powerful, but they're a dick to everybody because of that. So
They
and
don't
they
have
want
cursed
to
energy.
yeah, they want to maintain
So
their prestige. So they kick out of anybody that's not skillful or doesn't have the any
gu-
curse energy, stuff like that.
yeah. Guys, so I kind of said to you in our own personal group message that I was going to make you sad for like 2 seconds. And I
Oh
promise that
no.
after I say this, you guys are going to get over it quickly. But the next three episodes, I guess I should say, of Jujutsu Kaisen, they're going to be recap episodes. Like the next episode, I believe is going to be a recap of the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie. Then the following is going to be a recap of the first season. And then they're going to take a 3rd-week break. And then I think on August 27 is when we do get the continuation of this. So we're gonna have to figure out what we can substitute Jujutsu Kaisen for Bleach. I think we should analyze. Right now One Piece is very popular because Luffy got his 5th gear. So I think we should like talk about them, and I think we would get a lot of people interested in like getting our perspective. Ramon, I would love for you to just see like maybe 3 episodes out of context, and for us to just kind of like talk about it. I'm on episode like 915, so I still got 150 maybe episodes or more to like
I'm
catch up.
I, I'm in 730s.
Yeah, but
Like
I think if we just pick 2, 3 episodes to talk about like Gear 5 and like kind of like our thoughts, it would be kind of interesting. But again, we need to pair it up with something else, Bleach. So if people have suggestions like, hey, let's talk about Psalm 100.
Zom 100.
Yeah, that's another one. But this is a good time for people to tell us like, what do you want us to pair up Bleach with while
Psalm
Jujutsu comes?
100.
Psalm 100, definitely. I think that should be one of them. But I also think we should pair up, like, again, we should talk about Gear 5, man, because it's, whether we like it or not, it's the one thing right now that's, like, trending over the weekend was trending.
Or possibly Villain Saga.
Well,
Carlos wants to talk about Gear 5. Okay, I think we got the message.
Well, I'm thinking of something that Ramon wouldn't have. Like, Vinland Saga, you're going to have to make Ramon watch 2 seasons, 50 episodes, essentially, where I'm kind of just giving you the option of watching 3 very specific Gear 5 focus episodes, and then that's it. But again, we can kind of talk about what we need to do.
Are there spoilers there? Because I already saw a video that gave me a spoiler because apparently there's 2 separate Gear 4s.
Well, yeah, there's Balloon Man and Snake Man.
yeah, I found that out on TikTok.
I'm still for some. Yeah, go ahead.
All this means nothing to Ramon. Ramon's like,
that's what I'm saying. I'm still for Zom 100 because that's like super easy to watch. It's current. It's out. They're saving the live version. Freaking.
Oh god,
movie.
I don't want to watch
Don't
that.
say, okay, you haven't seen it. I'm gonna do both, but I do want to finish the anime first before watching the live action.
Yeah.
Just,
so we'll
just
think
because
about
I don't
it.
want.
Yeah, because I mean, I think it's going to be cool to either get suggestions and see what we can pair it up with, but I think we definitely need to get fans to let us know what we could pair it up with.
All right, we'll ask.
Put it in the chat. What you want us to talk about?
Because if we do, for example, a Vinland Saga, it would probably just be like the first 4 episodes of it, and then we can get like Ramon's take on it.
Fullmetal Alchemist. Since we never talked about it.
Finish it. I could finish it.
I think we need to just finish it and do its own video on it. But
yeah.
All right, man. Well, that was it. That was my sad news, and I think we should just move on for now to talk about Bleach.
It is
if you guys
sad.
are ready.
It was been so good.
Terrible news, man. I think that's worse than Geto being a bad guy. What?
Hey, guys. If there's anything I hate more than how Raul hates dogs, is that I hate recap episodes. I truly hate recap episodes, so I don't think I'm gonna be watching the recap episodes unless there's something new to them.
I'm gonna watch them.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, don't turn so sad because now we're about to talk about Bleach. So, Ramon, Ro, what did you guys think about it?
Super not the same guy, but still.
Oh man!
I just noticed your shirt.
Yeah, well, I was hiding it. So far, you only got the ego. Now it's like the whole luchador, like right, and even too. Ignore the holes, but
I didn't even think about it. I wore like my Maki. What is it, Makima? Oh my god, it's been so long.
It's okay. It's okay. I only put it on because I just finished watching right before we started recording. So I was pretty pumped, man. I wasn't here last week with you guys to talk about this previous episode, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about it either. But just knowing that we kind of were leading or continuing the fight with Superstar, the freaking Stern Ritter S, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Superstar.
Superstar. He was really fun, man.
Superstar.
Different superstar. People watching us, depending on your age, too, you're gonna be like, "What the heck are you doing?" Just go look it up.
Shannon,
Superstar, yeah, superstar, do it. No, he was really fun. I didn't know he had his whole little like fanboy with him too, and especially in this episode. Yeah, and then seeing that James is kind of like an extension of him, and they basically exist within each other, like they're both each other, was super cool to kind of find out. Not to mention that, obviously you had a little bit crazier action because the Sternritters, in the last time that I got to talk to you guys about it, had just received their power from your watch, and again, I'm never gonna say his name right, Yehuba Hawa or Jawad, but he gives them that extra power, and so everybody, and so everybody's deciding like, are they gonna use their power? They're gonna not use their power, and you have that one girl with her red like halo and everything going ham, and then you have him who I was kind of waiting the whole time to see what his like super powered ability was gonna be, and so I really enjoyed this episode because it was a continuation of that. It was the fight. Then you got to see some like really prime like captains like really step in, and then the return of my boy from up above. So yeah, it was just really enjoyable, and I'll let you guys kind of get more into it. Jesus, back to kick some ass, man. Jesus with the new Bankai, let's go. But no, yeah, even stuff like that too. Just seeing like he had like the part of Sambato that he didn't know he had because he didn't know the full, like the real name, his real name, and I don't know, just so many good things about it. But you guys can do a better job at this than me. I was just a little fanboy the whole time.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like, so I love the concept of Superstar. I forgot his name. Because Superstar, and then he has an actual name.
It's like the masculine.
Yeah, or Mighty Masculine or something. Masculine. I remember the masculine part. But I love his whole character, and I love the whole like combination of him and James, because James is this like small, weak little dude that just cheers him on, like go Superstar, and then he gets all this power. It's just like wrestling. It's like, I don't know if you guys ever watch wrestling. Like they'll be fighting and they'll be like almost dead, and then people start cheering, and then they kind of get power from their cheering, and then they like DDT them or whatever it is that they do. But yeah, like I love the whole concept that they have with James and Superstar, with that, but it's crazy how strong he is.
I told you
he defeated 2 captains, and it's not two lightweight captains. It's like both of these captains were captains like before like Aizen and all of them became captains. So it's just crazy to think that they've had their Bankai for this long, and they have the Arrancar mask part of it that they never use anymore. I don't even know what the deal with that is, but they are. You picture them as being really strong, and they just got murdered like ragdolls.
No, the people are really upset at the fact that the Biswords, kind of like in the last episode with Shinji, kind of got defeated, and in this episode you get another 2 of them that get defeated. It's just the whole idea that in no moment they couldn't summon their like hollow mask, because Ramon, that gives them like a boost of energy. It makes them a little bit stronger. So at any point they could summon this like
that on top of
energy.
Their Bankais.
So it's like, oh my god, even just for you to like see it, because I think that's the part about Bleach that kind of makes you like a little bit admire the characters, the idea of they're wearing these luchador, like, because it could have been like they're also wearing a luchador mask. It could have reminded you of La Muerte or whatever. So I'm like, oh man, missed opportunity, the fact that they didn't just summon their hollow mask.
Yeah, no, that's crazy too, because like even for me, I was experiencing their Bankais for the first time too. And
that was our first time.
Oh, really?
No, you know what? I think Kensei had done it before, because I had seen his Bankai before, but I think this is the first time that maybe he explained that as long as he's touching you, it's almost like a boom. So I think that was the explanation we did get.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that was really cool, because like when he explained his, right, like he's obviously fighting freaking the masculine, and like he's getting beat up a little bit, the Sternritter, but then he comes back and he just overpowers it. Obviously with the power of cheer. But no, but it's just kind of just the whole idea the fandom. But just that whole idea of like he's talking about his bankai, it sounds super strong. Just even the concept of how it works is amazing, and enough to kind of like really push him back, like tear open holes so you can see his abs and all this crazy stuff. And then he just comes back and destroys them after he gets that cheer. And then with the other captain, I really like this bankai in the sense of it was like so involved. But even more so, again, the freaking Stern Ritter's reaction to it, where he just fucking burst through his drum, like eardrums, just to be able to do that. Like, dude, that guy was just so awesome. Like, I'm sorry, he did kind of put those guys to shame a little.
No, dude, I hate the fact that they keep telling the enemy what they're. I know you're explaining it for the audience, like I get it, but it's also you're letting them know what's happening, and I hate that so much about it. But yeah, like Ramon, it was just really cool to get this guy like beat these two top captains, and it was funny because the one with the silver white hair, he was almost like when he came in, he's like shaming his subordinates, like how did you guys get defeated? You guys are pathetic, and then he gets his ass whooped. They're like, I wouldn't even be able to show my face after that. Oh man,
dude, and it with the superstar. I was actually really reminded of two separate ones, two separate other characters. The first one, I don't think you've seen this, Ramon, but Escanor from the Seven Deadly Sins.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, like when the shirt like ripped off and all that stuff, and he was all buff, because in the Seven Deadly Sins, Escanor, like the closer it is to like High Noon, the stronger that he gets. Yeah. So in this case, it was the fandom, his cheering that made him stronger, and then the other one was Jane, obviously.
Okay. No, I was thinking of Full Metal Alchemist, like the
other guy,
the Iron Fist or whatever.
You know what's another difference?
Looks like Escanor.
But you know what's another difference? Those two characters you guys mentioned, they don't wear nipple pasties.
I was curious when you told me about this show, and you were like, "Oh, I hope you like them," and I'm like, "What the hell?" And that's not who I expected was going to be wearing them. But hey, I'll take it. I was really impressed, regardless. So
it was really comical. Like I don't think they had to do that for any like, we can't show a man's nipples, but it was just like, the whole idea that they were covered up really made me smile and laugh.
Yeah, it definitely added to the character, and it makes sense for the character, but it's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Man, but I wish I had a little James running around cheering me on in live.
Another funny part when we talk about James is just like I think every time that he got like killed in one way or another, it was definitely very gruesome, and I think everybody had the same reaction. They're like, holy crap, like what the heck. And then when he would come back, it would be like even more impactful. Like people were just like, what the heck. Even Renji, when he finally came down, and then I think it's like this is when he severed him in half. But then later he's like
he was already in half. He was already in half, and the half was bouncing up, and then he like cut him in like I guess a quarter because he cut his half in half.
And then when he decapitated him, and then later like the little one comes out of the inside of the mouth. It's just like, what the heck. I think that was it.
And then Superstar's reaction each time, it was so like dramatic, and like he knew what was gonna happen, but it was still like, what? How dare you do this to a helpless fan or whatever? It was just funny.
Well, see, then it really made sense, and I think it really put him into like a more serious perspective when he explained that they're interconnected and they're part of each other. So it's like for as long as that he's alive, he's never gonna die, and it kind of makes it like understand that it's not just some random fanboy following him around. That it's just probably like part of his personality that he can't live without. Which seems very narcissistic, but whatever. Like you need your own cheerleader on the side, always saying like, "Yeah, go get him."
Dude, if
I'll
I
be
was
your guys' James.
Thanks, bro.
You want to be James? Okay, it could be my James. Let's go.
Dude, if I was the creator of Bleach, I would have gotten myself on the phone and started calling my lawyer, because I feel like he has a lawsuit that he could potentially do against Stranger Things, because those metal instrument things sort of look like Demogorgons when you like look at them, at the way they stand, their face. Like I'm like,
with the flower faces.
Yeah, the Bankai flower when he did the conductor Bankai. Yeah. I'm like, dude, it just reminded me of like a bunch of Demogorgons just standing in a line. So I thought that was like really creepy, and I really liked it a lot. It's just the whole fact that he gave himself a reason to be like, oh, this is what you have to do to defeat me. And it's like so dumb, man, so dumb. I don't know if I could ask you guys, from what you've seen, Ramon, would you rather have a Bankai that gives you some kind of strength level, or would you rather have a Bankai that's almost like an illusion or some kind of like something like, you know, like this guy? Like this guy wasn't clearly a power up. It was more like if you hear his melody, it almost puts you in this like stage. I couldn't even, yeah, in this Genjutsu. What kind of Bankai would you guys rather have? Power or this kind of Bankai?
I think personal power or weapon power, because I mean, there's something to be said about that. Like, I think with like Genjutsu or anything like that, where like you do have some sort of illusion or some kind of alteration to the environment, there is so many other factors that can stop it. Because maybe you're doing it to one like enemy, but then someone else shows up and like hits you in the head or something like that, you know? So it's basically, it takes part of it away from your control. Even though it is part of you, right, or you're controlling it, I think there's still something to be said about it. It's a factor outside of you. I would like the idea of just me having my own personal like extension of that power to just use it how I want.
So we've sort of talked about Kenpachi, and one of the things about Kenpachi is like he likes to have people that can fight with like strength. Like he doesn't like this whole idea of you having a Sanpato or having a Bankai that's not related to strength. That's what he wants. So actually one of his like lieutenants, he can do a really cool Sanpato ability, but he doesn't show it because he doesn't want Kenpachi to like lose respect for him, because his Sanpato does like something that's not power level. It's something completely different. It's really cool. So it's kind of funny that there are people that would hide the Bankai. The one that's like the pretty boy that has like a little feather.
Oh yeah. The fifth.
Yeah, it's almost like a Renji situation. When he says his Sanpato, he doesn't say the full name. So when you see it, it kind of looks like it's like a 5 blades. Like I would have to show you, like it's like a fan almost. But then when he says the full name of it, his actual ability comes out. So it's kind of interesting that you have seen that before. The idea that if you don't say your Sanpato's full name, like you might get something like that. It's not 100% of what its real power is. So I like that because that plays a lot with what we see from Renji in this episode.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the 3 that got defeated, with the lieutenant and the other guy before the.
Oh yeah, he was part of the 3.
Yeah.
Not the guy with the 69. Not the ball guy. The other guy. Yeah.
With the colored things. He's a pretty boy with the weird like scythe looking things.
Yeah.
Or sickle.
No, and I like the whole like part of like well obviously Renji coming back down to join them in the fight, but even more so like the flashback to his training too, and then with that one of the what are we calling them, the guys up there in the Zero Squad Zero. Sorry, it's been a while since I talked about Bleach, but yeah, with the Squad Zero guy, and he's the one that basically named all the abilities, and that was really cool to find out too, because you know he's basically the one that's all knowledgeable about those things. So it just to me again, it's more learning more things that you know not everyone knows.
That's one of my questions. What is his age? Is he like can live forever? Does he have a power? Was he really young when he started naming things? Like the idea that, I mean, we saw Captain Yamamoto and he was a head captain for like 1,000 years. And he looked so old, where this guy, he doesn't look as old. So I'm kind of trying to understand like how this guy was able to be one of the first, but yet still doesn't look as old as Yamamoto.
Well, none of the Squad Zero looks old though, right? Like they were all
And if you think about it, the new squad captain now, like he was around 1,000 years ago, but he just, and the other sick one too was around 1,000 years ago.
Kids,
but they don't look old at all either, though.
Yeah, and they don't.
So I don't know how time works in Soul Society.
Yeah, but it was really cool to find out that again, this is the man responsible for naming all those like abilities and things like that, and then to be able to obviously illuminate or freaking tell Renji that he doesn't even know the full name of the whole name of his Sanbakuto was pretty cool too. Because then, because I was also really confused about him too, because even what I seen of Renji, it was never anything like that or just that ability. But he came down all like a nice drip, like he looked pretty good. Well, even the scene when they fall from the sky too, and then even Superstar, like the Master Masculine, was like, "What is that? I want to go fight that. Like whatever that is, I want to go there." Yeah. And then I figured that it was going to be one of them. I just didn't expect to be Renji and.
Dude, it was kind of funny because I did kind of like write their drip. Like it was almost like winter based. I'm like, why are they dressed like they just came from like, you know, like what is it, like snowboarding down the mountains. Like I have no idea
Yeah.
why they're dressed like that.
Yeah.
Cool as hell, but it did cost me to write a little note about like winter gear.
You're like
Yeah.
snowboarding chic, like accents of animal print with touches of white, and yep, pretty good.
Yeah.
I
And
agree.
goggles.
Like and goggles. Yeah, I mean,
Dude,
basically.
I just sent you guys a picture. I don't know if you got it, but it was pretty much like I wanted you to look at what Renji Sanpato looks like in its animal form or its manifestation. So you can kind of understand why his Bankai looked the way he did with the monkey palm, and then you got the snake on the other hand. And I thought it was really cool, man. Like I'm gonna say it. I think the way he looks now, if I could have any kind of Bankai power, I think I would take his,
Cool.
man. Like I really love the monkey palm. I really love the snake
Where'd you get
sword
this
about
from?
it. I don't know. I mean, you see that. I know you don't remember, but you do see that monkey hybrid snake tail in the show early
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
But it's
Oh,
just, again, it kind of gives you an idea of why his Bankai looks the way it is from when I just kind of wanted you to have that image before we talked about it.
and it was
That
funny
makes
because I was
sense,
gonna
man.
ask you guys to break it down for me a little bit more because besides the snake component of it, then that
Yeah.
one arm or the hand, I was a little confused about what that was at first. And then how I always like take care of some of our thumbnails as much as I could. I was definitely
Yeah.
gonna like go frame by frame just to really capture like the whole look of it. But yeah, I mean it looked really cool regardless, and obviously he did some work with it, so all that matters in the show.
Yeah, no, because even like Ichigo's, when he was doing his Bankai, it never granted him like an ability; it just granted him like a boost of energy, and his sword kind of became slimmer. I mean, again, I feel like now you could put on a squad Ichigo and Renji, and like, do these guys together like duo battle somebody, like they could probably like do some crazy damage. Like I don't know, man. Something about that design really hits me. I don't understand it. I think I just love the fact that, believe it or not, my favorite part about it is just like that ape hand. The idea that like this giant ape hand is like on your shoulder and you can just use it to like grab somebody in like a really tight grip. I don't know, man. I thought it was just some really creative stuff. And I was kind of joking around. And when everybody was talking about Gear 5 with Luffy, I'm like, this was my Gear 5. This is what I'm going to tell my kids was Gear 5. The Renji Bankai.
I
Yeah, no,
mean,
but like it was definitely cool. I didn't get the monkey thing, but like it now it kind of makes sense. But I don't. I still kind of have an issue with the fact that the other two captains got defeated so easily, and then
Yeah.
so does this mean that Renji is stronger than most captains now? Because
no.
he's a lieutenant, and his
Yeah.
captain is one of the stronger captains.
Yeah, I feel like now you have to promote him. There's no way because before he had the Bankai, and normally that's one of the requirements. I feel like now you have to like promote him, and clearly, if any of these guys dies, there's going to be room to like fill it. So like, yeah, you can
Yeah.
just say like, okay, now you're squad 9, that's yours.
Yeah, it just I don't know. I feel like they're doing a disservice to the captains because in the Eisen arc,
Yeah,
like the captains were so strong. They were so much stronger than the lieutenants, and the lieutenants were so much stronger than like the ones before them.
yeah.
But like now they're just being beat like nothing
Well, we kind of
by all these Quincy's.
we kind of skip, which I'm kind of glad we did, but we kind of skipped the intro of the episode. But do they say that like they're down to like 42% of their forces are
Oh
still
yeah, the
alive?
30.
And no, it
30.
says 42 of their forces are still alive. Military less than 30%, and it's
Oh,
just like so
military.
crazy, man. At that point, I would just like say like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna be defeated because there's how can we beat the enemy when already we're down to like less than 30%? Like it's just like I don't know. Is this I don't know how you can recover from that number.
Dude,
I just
but it was weird too because of like how they were reacting to it. They were saying it was either a good thing or like they were expecting this, which
I
is
don't
kind of like
know.
messed up to think about.
Like whether they
so
win
my
or lose, like it's already a loss because you lost like 70-80% of your troops, your people. So it's like no matter what, it's a loss.
again, obviously I watched last season of this, and you just at least a little bit of research that I've done in the past. But to me, it still seems kind of crazy that they're going through this moment and kind of a little bit of a war. It doesn't seem like anyone's really like counting on freaking certain things to happen, but I don't know what their plan is, and I can't tell. And what's the guy with the floral kimono, like
Yeah,
Kyoraku?
Yeah, the
Like,
head captain.
what's his whole what's like the head captain? What's his plan? Because he's legitimately like, I know
I
he
don't
was with
know.
one of the strongest Stern Ritters, right? And they're having like that 1-on-1, but like at that point, man, if that one other person has that barrier up, or if there's any way to just kind of leave there and go like join everybody else on the battlefield or do something different, I think that's what was throwing me off. That it seems like he's kind of over here like messing around. Like who's in their mind like already has the idea that Ichigo is gonna come down and save everybody? Like no one's acting that way. People are getting their asses kicked, and then you have him just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna have better tea for you next time.
Well, it's one of those things, man. Like where
Yeah.
if you were in war, you don't put your general in the front of the army. Like clearly he's in the back, and even if Yamamoto was still around, I can promise you that he wouldn't be fighting. If anything, he would just be more in the back. And if maybe he's had an opportunity to help somebody out, he might take it. But even then, like Yamamoto never did anything really in the past Bleach, because it would be very rare for him to actually step into the battlefield. So I don't really feel like he needs to do anything, but he could be helping out maybe like somebody, like throw a bone at somebody and like save their life.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. The sense of urgency doesn't seem like he's there. Like, a few episodes ago, we saw him go down to Earth and talk to the classmates of Ichigo that didn't even that weren't relevant to the whole fight. And so in my mind, it's like, God, dude, like, come on, be a better leader, have a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
But it's just because, like, Raul, you were really stating the fact that, it sucks that you're seeing some of these captains really get their ass handed to them. Well, in my mind is like, where's the inspiration? Where's the thing? And again, haven't seen Bleach enough, but at least from last season and watching this 1,000-year Blood War, there seems like that war can be handled a little bit better on that end. But
yeah,
I mean, it's just one of the funnier components to me. I'm just like, man, dude, come on, man, say something.
No, I mean, this whole idea is like, if your captain doesn't do work, then it's kind of like, then you don't really have a chance. But I can't even keep track of who's still able to fight from the good guys, where I feel like the Stern writers, they have a whole off of it. Like we haven't even seen like most of them. So it's like, I don't know, man.
There were several like of the letters that died, but not nearly as many as the captains, because so you saw what 4 or 5 captains already lose, or die, and then you had the healing captain who's dead when she was fighting with Kenpachi. So there's a lot there, and there's only 13 of them, and who knows who took over the head captain's squad too. So it's at most they have 5 captains left.
Well, like it's not looking good, Ramon. But again, there are some people that you haven't seen that they're not captains, but they're captain level power that could jump in at any moment.
Like Renji,
like Renji, Yuruhara's one. The cat girl that I cannot remember her name. She's really powerful. We still got Grimjow. It's an Arankar. So I mean, like they could potentially still get even that little girl that Ichigo hangs out with now. Like she can still turn into
and then also the big guy that with the that was training Orihime with the barriers and all the magic spell stuff.
Yeah, him.
He was a captain too.
So I mean, so I don't want you to freak out, Ramon. I feel like we still have a chance. there's still a chance.
Ichigo's dad too.
Yeah.
Wait,
what?
Yeah, Ichigo's
dad was a captain.
Oh, okay, nice. That's it.
And he
regained that's right.
Yeah, which would be cool to see his Bankai, because I don't think I know what his Bankai looks like. I know it's fire based, but I don't know what else. It's kind of cool that we get that line saying that like no Sanpato can have 2 elements to it, which makes me feel like one day there will be one, because that's really cool.
Yeah.
The idea,
like when they say those things, it's for someone to break that.
Yeah, it's like you put those rules only for somebody else to like break it. But I don't know, man. I really had
or something.
Yeah, we didn't get Ichigo. I mean, before we leave, we didn't get Ichigo at all. But I did like how the episode ended. It actually was very intriguing. The idea that the James returned back to the Quincy leader, and then he kind of left to go rest. And then this guy comes in and it's kind of giving the explanation of what he is. Like, I really want to hear that, an explanation of what yeah. So that left me like being like, give it to me.
Because I think that's part of the reason why he's the successor, because I think at some point they mentioned that he's like the last real Quincy or something.
But what
I wonder what the other ones are.
But I'm just curious about like what you watch Yahuba Hua like is that what is like what
do.
I'm never gonna be able to say that seriously.
And you're never not gonna make me laugh when you say it.
Your watch seems the funniest, but it's just not even like close to it. No, yeah, I'm really curious about that too, especially because that was like the last little cliffhanger that they left you on.
What do you think about
what is he like? He made it seem like he's still like something else beyond just like a creation of like Reggie, or not Reggie.
Because he absorbed James. This is the first time that we see him like say like, okay, your power's coming back to me. So that was kind of interesting. It's like, was James that powerful that there was no way he was just gonna let that like spread, or does this for everybody? Like that's something also that I kind of left wondering. Yeah,
speculations,
man. But
it's always interesting whenever they leave an episode in a cliffhanger, especially when it's not like an action one where they're like, this guy dead or alive. They're like, oh, I'm about to tell you something, but end of episode.
It's like Carlos. Carlos and his bad news earlier, or like from yesterday. It's like, I have bad news for you, but you gotta wait till tomorrow. I'm like, what's this news?
All right, so normally, when the episode ends, there is kind of like a hint for the next episode, or somebody like kind of comes in and says some like cool words that I never write down. I just know that sometimes they sound really cool, or the message itself is really cool. This time I did write it down because I thought the message itself was really cool, but it was just kind of like, when you get the hint for the next episode, you get this line that is, there is no difference between living and being allowed to live. It's just as there is no difference between dying and being killed. And I don't know, man. I just thought that was like really cool. Like it was just kind of like, oh, like I might have to. Again, I'm either gonna frame that or put that as a back tattoo, as a nice cramp stamp in my back.
When you live, you live. When you die, you die. Basically. No, that was really cool though, man. It is a great philosophy though. But you know what? I think it also that does have to do with James being absorbed back into your watch. Is that whole idea of like maybe it is something about like creation, and then just like the way that he created them is the same way that they kind of go out. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe he is the light. Maybe he is the chakra. The what is it called? The Reggie. I don't know.
Yeah. No. Well, Just know that in my trial, when I go to Raul's house and choke him for making microphone noise, I'll be like, when I'm in trial, I'm gonna be like, technically there's no difference between, me killing him and him being dead. Like it's just no difference. It's dead.
I'm sorry, I get antsy.
No, I'm kidding.
It does not accidentally hit the.
No, I'm giving you crap. Trust me. I've dropped phones, and this poster that Ramon gave me of Attack on Titan. Titan kind of like fell from my wall, so it's like
I'm making freaking Zeke right there.
That's cool.
Yeah, so like all the stuff is like falling, and I'm making my own noise. So yeah, it's not a. All right, guys. Well,
good episodes.
Yeah, good episode, and we'll see what we pair up Bleach with next week. But I'm excited to talk to you guys again. So you guys have a good night. Talk to you. Bye.
Bye.